Listeners, I've been thinking lately that most of us say we want a good life. But when I really sit with that phrase, I wonder what does good even mean when the blueprint we are handed rarely fits who we've become, right? And we chase the next job, the next city, the next relationship, convinced that one more move and we'll finally list. We're here to get honest about what we actually create the life we want without falling into the traps that keep us stuck in someone else's version of success. My guest is Claudia, who is a life coach, writer, someone who has literally reinvented her entire life more than once. Countries, languages, careers, belief systems, everything. She works with the Akashic Records and spiritual depth, but she'll be the first to tell you she's not floating above the mess. She's in it, and she's figured out how to move through it with intention instead of force. Claudia, welcome to Healthy Waves. I'm so honored to host you today.
I am so happy to see you today, Pragya.
That's great, Claudia.
Reflection, what you did, because it's something that I see repeated in my clients once and again. And the first client actually was myself, because I had everything in life that was supposed to be an achievement and um, still didn't feel complete, still didn't feel right. It still felt like I was missing something.
I totally get that, and that's a great way to start with it, though. Also, if I continue with that, most people say that they want to design their dream life, right? But in reality, they just keep upgrading a life they're secretly tired of. And that is a pattern, that is a vicious cycle. So they rearrange the pieces of something they never chose in the first place. And I want to know from your perspective, what is the first deep, invisible trap that people fall into when they finally try to build the life they actually want? And why is this cycle repeating? And why is it a loop? And why don't we come out of it and think that, oh, this is not what we want, but we're building the same thing?
Question. Well, what I have observed is that one of the most important failures is that we try to design our life or to create the life we think is good for us based on other people's desires. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we try to create a life thinking about what our parents expect from us, our society, our friends, our school, our work environment expect from us, instead of going deep inside and having the courage to say, well, I studied to be an engineer, and actually, what I like is cooking. And the joy and the flow, that sense of no time and no constraints, is in cooking and not in engineering. So um, reconnection with oneself. Of course, it's not going to be a process that is going to be uh, from 1 minute to the other. It's going to take a little bit of dedication, a lot of curiosity, actually. It's going to take research, going to take an effort, and it's also going to take a lot of courage. We cannot build anything that is a reflection of ourselves. We keep on building on somebody else's opinions, ideas, um, external, not that it's coming from the inside of our soul.
That makes sense, and thank you for that, and I love that. Also, what I take from you, from this insight of yours, is that we start with the feeling and not the form, and that is the greatest of all. Also, to continue with that, you often talk about the art of a good life, but be human with us, right? There must be mornings when the canvas feels chaotic or dull, and there must be days when the canvas it completely feels empty, even if it has everything on it. So, how do you personally tell the difference between a genuine inner signal to change direction and a temporary low that just needs patience? So, how is your differentiation like?
When I talk about the art of a good life, is to have the dedication that the artist has to be present every day in the studio, grabbing the brushes, even when nothing is coming up. There will be times that are very chaotic and very confusing in our lives, right? It's not that I don't have my life completely perfect, and I continue to work in my life every single day. There's no misunderstanding on that. But what is important is that we have a general direction on to go and on where we want to go, what direction we want to go. It's like thinking, well, I want to go. I am in the United States, in the East Coast, in Miami, and um, I want to go to the Disney parks. So, how do I go to the Disney parks? I make a plan. I look for a map. I create a map and I live in that direction. I don't know every single alternative, every single step of the road. What I have is a general direction. And that is the most important thing, is to have a general direction and then um, let oneself be surprised by all the events on the road. Some are going to be very pleasant and easygoing, and some others are going to be challenging. But in no event, those those moments are less valid. The challenges are very valid. Those are the defining ones because they're giving us hints of, well, it's like asking questions. Am I going in a good direction or I'm going in the wrong direction? So, does that answer your question?
It totally does. And thank you for your story on your direction. And it really landed. Thank you for that. And to add on to that, we often, misread discomfort as failure. And when sometimes it's just Tuesday and we totally, forget that it's okay that the direction that we are into, it can also fall short sometimes, and that is something that we stop reminding ourselves, and that is when the alignment it goes haywire. Is that so?
When we think that is a good direction, we think that going in right is the good direction, and then we find out that it's not. And nothing is lost because in that when we went into a direction that it was not what we wanted, what we learn is what we don't want. So uh, every single action that we're taking has an objective, and if we take it as an exploration and a learning curve, instead of thinking that that every single step has to be meaningful and profound, and we cannot make any mistakes, and it has to be all the time perfection. I call it the Instagram perfection. It's not. um, it's going to be just the direction. The only perfection we see is in the universe, in the park, in the tree. That is perfection. We are perfecting. We are working to be every day a little better than the previous one. And some days we don't accomplish anything, and that is valid too. Um, make it a joyful and enjoyable life, doing the things that bring you um, satisfaction, and from the things that are difficult. It's not about perfect picture will be at the end when we're not here anymore. So all the rest is enjoying the road, enjoying it, and finding new, exciting things and adventures to take.
Hmm. That totally does make sense, and thank you for that. Also, let's go deeper. In spiritual and coaching spaces, alignment is often portrayed as effortless flow, right? Like once you're clear, like it becomes a smooth river. But your journey, it has had frictions, countries, careers, identities, finances. Was there ever a point where you thought that maybe this is or maybe this conscious living thing is idealized and maybe it's oversold and maybe it's not always have to be perfect. You already mentioned that, right? That your way of saying that is Instagram perfection, and I love that. Thank you for that. So yes, how do you take your journey and these imperfections with you in a society where spiritual spaces are oversold as all aligned?
Is what we are. We are spiritual beings having this physical experience. So if we start there, we understand that everything that is happening is for our own evolution. So that are pretty bad, and some days that we don't feel very well, and there will be days that are super challenging because we encounter people that are not in our vibration, and some other days flow better, and everything is more happy and joyful and easy. Is are creating our lives. But really important is to not focus on the immediate results, is to, but not make it like the defining moment of our lives, because every moment is the defining moment. Too. I mean that moment is contributing to our path, to our road, to our life. And if we allow those moments to be not judgment, not without judgment, without um, them, without grading them, like from 1 to 10, what is the quality of this moment? That doesn't serve any purpose, right?
Yes, it definitely does not. And I totally agree to it. And that is so refreshing, right? Not everything has to align. And it's totally human. It's totally okay to be like that. Coming on to your guidance part. So you guide people through purpose work and Honestly, some people they meditate, they journal, they reflect for years, and they still don't feel a cinematic bolt of clarity in their lives, in their directions. So, do you think everyone has one big singular purpose, or is that something we've all been conditioned to believe? And in these situations, how do you help someone accept that their purpose might be gentler, it might be evolving or season based, instead of the dramatic destiny story that they've been chasing? So, yes, how do you help them in these situations?
This is a Hollywood or Bollywood movie, and we all have to be superstars. Uh, our lives from the inside out. When we're not achieving and we're not being successful, many times is that we're looking from the outside, and we're looking for motivation outside instead of looking for motivation inside. I guide people to discover who they are, what are their motivations, what makes them happy. uh, is money a motivator for you? And that is also okay, because that may be the experience that this soul chose for this life, more materialistic life, and another person could have a more spiritual life. But the idea is to connect with the essence, the general essence, the general we many times do not feel.
That is so, so true. And to be very honest, I needed that. And I totally believe that, so much exhaustion, it comes from auditioning for a purpose that we were never meant to perform. And then there are people like you who guide us through that. And thank you so much for that. Also, you have reinvented your life multiple times, geographically, emotionally, spiritually. And for people who want to shift their lives, but they feel overwhelmed by the size of the journey, what is that one practice, mind step, or first step that actually helps them begin living their life way forward, and something which worked out for you and you would like to share with them?
Um, Writing by hand with a pen and a paper, and that is your choice of kind of pen and paper or pencil, whatever you like, and allowing an automatic writing, which is the writing that you don't think and you don't correct and you don't check the spelling or the grammar. Just let y- your hand to move and to write whatever comes to your mind in that moment. That is starting to do a reconnection, to reconnect with yourself, listening to yourself, listening to the sensations you have in your body. Your body is like a big antenna, and that antenna receives signals all the time. Uh, when you receive those signals, you can think, oh, well, that's nothing, or you can stop and, and you, I can tell you an example of that. One time I was in summer, I was doing some business, and I said, well, this guy is a little arrogant, but I'm going to do business with him. Not my friend. He's not going to become my friend. Uh, Business, I closed the business. The business was a disaster, and it created a lot of suffering. I did not listen was when I felt in my body that it was wrong to do it. Sure that you and many of the listeners have felt that in their body. or a relationship, or we meet someone that for some reason there's something that is not fully comfortable to that, and we enter in a relationship, but it ends up being chaotic and bad and lots of tears, and then we have to end it up and there's more drama. So um, the subtle signs that we have, our soul is not going to be screaming at us. Sometimes yes, but most of the time no. It's subtle how it communicates to us. But if we, well, step, writing, taking time to be in silence, paying attention to the body. I would start with the sensations in the body. Um, if you can develop some kind of uh, could be a walking practice. It doesn't have to be a sitting practice. Is if that helps you. Um, Observing what kind of choices we make. If the choices are good for us, they're not good for us, how they feel in the body. Those are all signals. And then I have a program that I follow, and we go through different steps. In about 3 months, we idea on how to build something that is more a reflection of who we are instead of being a reflection of somebody else's.
That perspective is really, really grounding. Thank you so much for it. And I totally get the simple yet effective steps and insights that you've shared with us today. Um, Here is what stayed with me from today. Wanting a different life is not greedy, and settling for the wrong one is not noble. And the trap is not that we want too much, it's that we often ask for too little and then wonder why we feel empty. And Claudia, thank you for not giving us another polished recipe, but for walking us into the kitchen while it's still messy and showing us it's still worth cooking. So, to everybody who is listening right now, if you felt seen, a little uncomfortable, or both, it's good for you. That is usually the first sign that you're standing at the right door. And take one of the things we talked about today, and I repeat, not 10, just one, and do it imperfectly this week. The life you actually want is not waiting for you to become someone else first, it's waiting for you to start. This was Healthy Waves. I am Pragya. See you next wave.